I actually realized that I haven't really looked at the recent TCG ban list, but it's a little nuts. It's a little nuts. It's not that it needs changes. Like, I think it's probably fine. I don't think there's anything that really let me move my camera a little bit. There we go. I don't think there's anything that's like super duper phenomenal on here that like that I feel like needs to move, right? There's like some cards in here that we're going to talk about today that if they moved, it probably wouldn't be a problem. I think most decks wouldn't even really be able to do anything with them. I did forget 2 cards now that I'm looking at the list again. And then most other cards like totally A-okay to, you know, there's a lot of cards on the list that could come off. A lot. But I don't want to focus on like just removing the whole fucking list and saying like, Mwahaha, let's make the game fucking nuts. You know, that's insane. But I do think that there are some cards on here that just do not fucking belong anymore. And there are some cards in the current game that do not belong either. I did forget a few cards. So I forgot a very, very, very annoying Floodgate that I think should go. Floodgates are good, but not in critical mass, and we have a critical mass of Floodgates right now in the game. And then I forgot, what the fuck was it? Dude, I was scrolling through here, and immediately I saw it, and I was like, this doesn't belong on the list anymore. Where is it? I don't even know. Oh, there it is. There it is. It's banned, and it doesn't need to be. Here we go. Cool. Alright. So I think that this is all of them. Let me move my face to somewhere that won't be in the way. Boom. So now my face isn't in the way. Let's take a look at all of these cards. Just bask in them real quick. Bask in the cards, okay? There's Fairy Tale Snow, Magic Spectre Kieran. I have Astrograph Sorcerer. Oh, you know what? I don't have Plush Fire. I promise I'm not a filthy Pendulum player. I fucking promise, okay? There we go. Let me put all the Pendulum cards together. Boom. At least all the ones that are banned. Astrograph Sorcerer, Plush Fire, Skullcrabat Joker, Brilliant Fusion, Chicken Game, Spellbook of Judgment, and I'll explain all these cards after I just list them all. Blaster, Dragon Ruler of Infernos, Double Iris Magician, what the fuck? Oh, it's at 1. That's why I have it over there by itself. Servant of Endymion, Destiny or Malicious, Chain Strike, Dark Ruler No More. This should be down here. Oops. Chain Strike, Emergency Teleport, Reasoning, Sekka's Light, Hornet Drones, Terraforming, Upstart Goblin, Metaverse, and Maxi. So Maxi's very divisive. I'm going to talk about it at the end of everything so you guys will know how I feel about it. I think that all these cards should either move up or stay exactly where they are, and I want to specifically talk about these cards because of these are some cards that like people have really, really bad like taste in their mouth about. And then here's all the cards. Oh, and then there's a few here too that are extract monsters, but we'll look at those later. I think that all of these cards are like current format cards that need to be hit further. And you're gonna be like, yo, but Beanie, like, what the fuck? Why do I see Called by the Grave here? Why do I see Red Reboot here? How far down do you want to put these in? Ban them. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to go through the cards. Let's go through the current format stuff first and talk about that. And then we'll move through the age of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where a lot of stuff is no longer as strong as it used to be and could totally move off the list. So, Cursed Eldlands. I think Cursed Eldlands should probably go to 1 or 2 as like a Clifford Scout type deal. It doesn't do as much, but if it's sent from the Spell and Trap cards, then you can special summon an Eldritch Monster or Golden Land Spell or Trap from your deck. You know, yeah, I'm sorry, you can send one Eldritch Monster or Golden Land from your Spell or Trap from your deck to your graveyard. So it's got a foolish effect if it dies, but you have to pack Cosmics and evenly matches for this. Otherwise, they get virtual card advantage. And then every time you pay 800 once per turn, you can search a card, kind of like a Clifford Scout. I think that this card just does too much and it makes the deck extremely consistent. It's a searcher for one of the best cards in the deck, which I think should straight up go to 1. I think this needs to go to 2, and I think this needs to go to 1. Outer Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine. I think this card needs to go to 1. Start summon 1 zombie monster from your deck or graveyard, but if you control no Eldritch monsters, you only special summon Eldritch monsters with this effect. For the rest of this turn after this card is off, you cannot special summon monsters except zombie type monsters. You're using it during your opponent's turn, who cares? You can banish this card from your graveyard. It's that 1 Golden Land Spell or Trap directly from the deck. And you can use each effect. You can only use one effect to cause Sanguine per turn only once that turn. Oh, okay, never mind, Psych. But I still think that this card's like, this card is one of the reasons why the deck is so versatile and can play like many different engines in it. You can play like Dragoon Eldritch, Eldritch. You can play Zodiac Eldritch. You can play I've even seen Dogmatic Eldritch. Like this Eldritch is something I want to hit over hitting something like Dogmatica. Because this engine is just like super duper splashable. Normally what we do with splashable engines is we gut the shit out of them like we did with Zodiac, because it was a very strong tier 1, tier 0 damn near splashable engine. This deck's more like tier 1, closer to like tier 1.5 than it is to tier 0. But I still think that it's one of the more obnoxious trap decks in the game because it can just output so much burst damage out of nowhere against you. So we're gonna move on to Drytron. I only think there's 2 cards in Drytron that need to be hit. Okay, let's be real. Vanity's Ruler just straight up needs to be banned. And if you ban Vanity's Ruler, then I don't think you really need to hit Benton. I think you need to just wait, let the deck play with Benton, and then in the future, 6 months to a year down the road, instead of hitting Benton, a card that's really done nothing wrong. Yeah, this isn't a once per turn, and there's something wrong with that, but it wasn't meant for that deck. I don't think we should hit this. I think it should go to 1 while Drytrons are very, very powerful. And we should ban Vanity's Ruler. Or we could ban Vanity's Ruler and not touch Cyber Angel Minton. And then they still make Herald of Ultimateness. Okay, which it's harder to out than I give it credit for, but I don't think that it's as powerful as Vanity's Ruler plus Herald of Ultimateness, which was one of those boards that just a lot of times you struggle so hard to get around it. The star of the format, the main monster, the big daddy of Yu-Gi-Oh! Currently right now, the skill drain on legs that smacks you in the fucking face for 3,000. True King of Alkaline. Or blocks for 3,000, as a matter of fact, from the defensive. This card's too good. It needs to be banned. This card's too good. It needs to be banned. It's always been a problem. This card's always been a problem. It's just it's been harder to summon than it has been recently. This card is a problem. I don't really even have to. I don't think I have to explain why the fuck this card needs to go. This could be Dragoon. I don't think Dragoon's the problem. I don't think specifically that Dragoon hinders future card design and future products. I think Verte Anaconda does. I think as long as they ever print a good fusion or polymerization normal or quick play spell, and they print some busted fucking monster that people are willing to splash, this card will be a problem. Dragoon is not the problem. Like, you don't see people hard summoning Dragoon with Red Eyes Fusion. Most of the time, they're going Verte Anaconda into Red Eyes Fusion into dump 2 Dragoon. That's a problem. If you're hard making Dragoon in like fucking what is it, Eldritch? No, not Eldritch. Invoked Dragoon. Fine. In Dragoon Dogmatica, whatever. That's fine. In Guru, if you're somehow fucking hard making it with Red Eyes Fusions because you're playing bricks in your deck for it, cool. Like more bricks than you already have to play. That's fine. I think this card's a real problem. Because it hinders future game design. You have to essentially never make something so powerful that everyone's going to want to splash it. Because if they do, this goes right back into their extra deck. They put the fusion spell in the extra deck, and they make whatever monster it is. Hey, what's up, Lilith? How are you doing? Say hi to YouTube. All right. This isn't in current format, but I want to explain this. Well, we'll come back to this. Okay, we'll come back to Pseudospace. Mystic Mind. I'm currently playing a deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! That can loop this card and make it so that I can play on my turn and then my opponent can play on theirs. And I essentially create a 1,500 life points difference every turn. Every turn. It's called Prank Kids. So, Mystic Mind has like non-red applications and burn applications and shit like that. So, I think it needs to go, honestly. I think this card just needs to fucking go. I don't think this card's okay. I would much rather play the deck without Mystic Mind, but Mystic Mind feels so powerful in the deck that I'm going to play it because this card's busted. It's so good, and it makes it so that your opponents have to pack answers in their deck to it at all times. They have to respect Mystic Mind or they will lose to it. I think that's pretty shitty. I think that's really, really, really shitty. It should go. I don't mind like control / stun decks, but this card on top of all of the other shit that you can play in control / stun decks is not okay. I think Wind Up Hunter needs to be banned. You'll see why in the cards that I want to bring back. This card essentially, you can tribute 1 face-up wind-up monster except Wind-Up Hunter. Send 1 random card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard. You can only use this effect while this card is face-up on the field. Once while this card is face-up on the field, you can loop it. So you can you can ditch your opponent's entire hand as long as you can continue to bounce it, bring it back, and then treat other wind up. Isn't an issue. I've seen wind ups in the past do a full 5-card hand loop, so your opponent was playing with 1 card. Really shitty. And then we also have Cypher and Omega, and I'm not removing Omega from the game, so I wouldn't personally. So I think that Hunter needs to go if we want Zenmaity back, carry Zenmaity back, and I want Zenmaity to carry her back. So we're gonna go back to the current format stuff. Red Reboot. There's so many instances where you just can't play around this card, where your opponent just has the red Reboot. Like if you're a combo player or like an OTK deck and you're playing against a trap deck, this card better be in your fucking side deck. It's 100% your side deck. And it's so sacky. It's such a fucking huge blot. And like, other than like Wiretap, other than like Wiretap and I guess Solemn Judgment, your opponent can't really do much about this card if they're playing like a traditional trap back row deck. If they're playing like a bunch of quick play spells, like something like Prank Kids, how they have the fusion spell, and some of them are gonna probably play Lunar Book of Eclipse, which I probably will. Maybe even cards like Twin Twisters to answer things during your opponent's turn. Red Reboot just shits on you otherwise. It just absolutely destroys you of your control deck. It's ridiculous. Like I don't think that there's a way that Trap Tricks, which is like one of the trap decks that doesn't actually really need more than 1 trap to resolve during the opponent's turn to stop them, because of the fact that you also have Sarah, you also have your Trap Tricks monsters effects, you have your Rafflesia triggering to like 2 monster effects as negates and 1 trap, and that's all you need. And this card probably still shits on that deck because you just Forbidden Droplet them too, and they can't play now. You outed their entire board, even if it's like 3 or 4 disruptions with 2 cards. Call by the Grave feels super sacky. I think that being able to disrupt hand traps is super important, but this card is also way too versatile. It's not just stopping hand traps. This card is stopping way more than just hand traps. This card is going to stop things like a DD Crow would. It's really, really strong. It's at 1. It either needs to be at 1 or at 3. I don't really want it at 3 because I think it's too powerful at 3, but it's also way too sacky at 1. I feel the same way about Maxi. We'll talk about that later. Summon limit needs to go. If you can make a board and then flip a summon limit, your opponent can't play the game. It almost has that Vanity's Ruler style thing where you make a board and you flip a Vanity's emptiness and they can't play. And that's just not fun. There's like floodgates that you can like play around and play through and kind of work and make a board for a lot of decks, like Goes in Matches and Rivalry of Warlords, and There Can Only Be One, stuff like that. You can, if your deck is versatile enough and it's the right archetype, it can play around / through those cards. You just have to have a hard answer to summon limit. Neither player can summon more than 2 times per turn. Not special summon. So even a deck that just wants to normal summon 3 or 4 monsters like True Draco, which I'm not promoting True Draco. I don't like True Draco. But even a deck like that just gets shit on by a card like Summon Limit. It's fucked up. You have to have the out with one of your True Draco spell or traps. Dark Ruler no more. We have Forbidden Droplet now. We have Book of Moon. We have Raigeki, Dark Holes at 3. I think there's too many cards to just blanket blowout boards. I think Red Reboot is one of those, and it's a 1. I want it banned. I think that this card is another one of those cards that just blanket wipes the whole board. Your opponent can't activate anything in response except counter traps. And then if you just have the Red Reboot for that, LMAO lol, like their board just got broken. You know what I mean? And there's nothing you could do about it. We have this, we have Droplet, we have Kaijus, we have so much disruption that going first isn't as powerful as it used to be. I don't really want it to be, but I think that there's enough checks and balances on the format that we don't need this card. I think Dark Ruler no more can go. Especially because it's made its sales. We now have Forbidden Droplet. It'll promote the sales of Forbidden Droplet for Konami's sake. You know, if you're using your brain on that and they just want to push product, it's something that could happen. I could see that, you know. Now I want to talk about the cards that I want to move up. And we'll just start from the top. We'll start with the banned section. I'll talk about how powerful I think they'd be in today's format and whether I want them to go to 1 or to 3. I don't really believe in 2s. So if you see a card at 2, it means I wanted it at 3 right here. So start with Fairy Tale Snow. If this card is normal special summon, you can book an opponent's monster. That essentially is a quick effect. Hey, what's up, waifu? How you doing? If this card is normal special summon, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls, change the face-down defense position. If this card is in the graveyard, quick effect, you can banish 7 other cards from your hand, field, or graveyard. Special summon this card. So That's not once per chain, which is pretty ridiculous. That's not once per turn, which is pretty ridiculous. But it's essentially just a Book of Moon. You have Book of Moon at 3. And this is only really going to get abused by those deep draw graveyard decks that are putting so many cards in the yard that they're going to be able to use and reveal multiple of this off of a couple of mills in their turn. Things like Infernoid or Lightsworn, or even Thunder Dragon when they were playing like Thunder Dragon Lightsworn, but we don't have Colossus anymore, so I don't think Thunder Dragon or Chaos Dragons is doing anything. This is essentially just like a big old buff to Lightsworn, which could use the help. You're at work? I figured. I figured you're either at work or at work. Maddie, what the fuck is this card doing on the list? During the player's turn, you can target one Pendulum monster in your monster zone. And one monster your opponent controls, return them to the hand. You can only activate this once per turn. Yeah, it's untargetable or whatever. You can't out it. But like, there's so many ways to negate this effect now without targeting. Cannot be targeted or destroyed by opponent's card effects. There's so many ways to carry this without fucking targeting now. You can just blanket the whole board with this, you know what I mean? With a card like Dark Ruler No More, if it's still in the game. And even if it's not, I think that this is a perfectly good interruption for Pendulum players. I think that they're a combo deck, essentially. Why the fuck should you not have interruptions? I especially think because I don't think that we'll get a card like... Rest in peace, Heavy Metal Foes Electromite. I don't think that card's ever coming back. The head of R&D, Research and Development, for Konami, and Konami TCG specifically, Jerome McHale, said he does not like Heavy Metal Foes Electromite. So I'm going to explain this now before I talk about any of the Pendulum decks. He does not like Heavy Metal Foes Electromite because it makes every Pendulum deck essentially play the same. Because they are turbo into Electromite. Get Electromite online. Electromite, get me a +2. Do more stuff, create unbreakable board. Durgo can't play, haha. And that's really lame in his eyes because you're essentially taking the entire the entire mechanic of Pendulum, and instead of it being a bunch of archetypes, you're turning it into one archetype. Like Pendulum becomes an archetype. You don't say, oh, I'm playing Synchro. You say, oh, I'm playing Windwitch Synchro, or I'm playing Speederoids, or I'm playing, you know, Crystron Synchro, or whatever, you know? So Pendulum will probably not get Heavy Metal Foes Electromite back for a long time, just because Jerome McHale doesn't like it, and I think that's okay. I wish we had it back, or I wish we had a suitable replacement printed, but since we don't, I think that there's a lot of Pendulum cards that come off the list and they'd be totally okay. One of those is Kieran. It's a really fine disruption. You can summon this, and then if your opponent goes to, you know, start their play, you can compulse something. That's pretty good. But there's tons of outs to this card. There's tons of outs to this card, and that's totally okay. Plushfire. We don't have Electromite. Plushfire is fine to come back. Plushfire is totally fine to come back. Draco Face-Off, as a matter of fact, also fine to come back. Draco Face-Off is fine to come back. Fuck that. We're putting this card here too. And LP needs to get banned. Is it Guard Dragon? Yeah, Guard Dragon LP needs to get fucking banned. Where's LP? Get fucking banned, LP. LP needs to be banned. I fucking forgot about LP because no one's playing it, but that does not mean it's not a ridiculously powerful fucking card. There's not a lot of Rocket Dragon Link, but literally this card, the one card started for like every Dragon deck, and I think that it makes all Dragon decks play the same. The only reason to keep this card in the game is to promote a deck like Dragunities, which won't even really need it. I don't think with the new support that it's going to need LP. It'll be cool to have it, but you won't need it. Red Eyes Darkness Metal, back to 3. Another card I forgot. Wow, I completely forgot about Dragons because right now they're just not on the scope of contention. They're just not that good. Let me put this here. Let me move this here. There we go. Oops. Let me move that here. Astrograph. Without Electromite, not that powerful. Totally fine to come back. It won't make every Pendulum deck play the same, but it will give every Pendulum deck a card that's going to add them more cards back, which is really, really good. Or let them essentially have an extender, another extender, which, you know, most Pendulum decks inherently are combo decks, except for like maybe like Magic Spectre, stuff like that. Magic Spectre and Dynamis. So having another extender, nothing wrong with that. Yo, can we talk about how many fucking normal summons that literally have this fucking effect with this card banned? For Tyrannite Deneb, every fucking normal gadget, red, yellow, and green. Fuck. So fucking, there's so fucking many. There is so many like monsters that are just like, if this card is summoned, I think there's a Heartbeat card too. There's so many cards that if this card is summoned, search a monster of the archetype that this card belongs to. Why the fuck is this card banned? Stratus is back at 3. Stratus was like the more powerful like original one because it was also a fucking heavy storm if you needed it to be. And it wasn't once per turn. This card belongs in the game. Maybe a 1. I think this card could go to 1. I think Astrodraft could go to 1. I think Plush Card could go to 3. I think Kieran could go to 1. It's searchable. Fairy Tale Snow could go to 3. Brilliant Fusion. Brilliant Fusion could go back to 3. We are not in fucking 2018. We're not in 2017. We're not in 2016. This card's not that powerful. All it is a Foolish Burial. Maybe light decks, maybe graveyard decks will abuse it. Maybe a little bit. But hey, that's okay. We have so many outs to this card. Fucking Ghost Ogre outs this card. Ash Blossom outs this card. Any spell or trap removal outs this card. It's not that good. Like it has so many answers. It does a lot, but it's checked by the format itself, and it's checked by the power of the cards that we have in the game. This card's fine to come back to 3. It should be at 3. Hate me if you want. We're gonna explain Pseudo Space now. Chicken Game. I think Chicken Game is a really cool draw spell. I don't mind draw spells at all. I think draw spells are cool. You're paying life for this, and in the new time rules, that's a really, really bad idea. If it's timing around and you paid for a Chicken Game, you know, earlier in the turn, you need to finish your turn and gain some life, buddy. You know, so a card like this is inherently super dangerous. It's really, really only degenerate in FTK strategies, but we've already banned cards like Tempest Magician, Magical Explosion, stuff like that, and we'll continue to ban those cards. I have no problem with that. That's a good thing. But this card is just inherent draw power, which I have no problem with. I don't mind decks being able to be more consistent by playing less cards and playing a pseudo brick. If you have something if you don't have another field spell to put over it, you're possibly giving your opponent a card, or letting your opponent destroy it, whatever, stuff like that. And the main reason why this card was so ridiculous is because we also had Pseudo Space. So you could dig through your deck. Essentially, you were playing 3 Upstart Goblin. We'll talk about that in a little bit. 3 Terraforming, 3 Pseudo Space, 3 Chicken Game. So you had like 12 cards in density that made your deck like smaller and made it so that you had fewer cards that you had in your deck. So everything else was easier to get to. If there was like a 2-card combo, a 3-card combo you were looking for, it was easier to find with a mass amount of cards like that. But I want to ban Pseudo Space so that those degenerate-ish strategies don't really have a way to do that. This is just like a consistency booster now for like worse decks, or decks that like have a really small engine and they're just like, I just want to draw into my really small engine cards and play a bunch of hand traps, like a deck like Salamangreats or something, you know? Salamangreats are just going to play a bunch of hand traps, their field spell, maybe 3 of this, and a bunch of, and like their engine. That's it. Engine, draw spells, and hand traps. This is a really good engine. I mean, a really good consistency booster, and I think that's cool. And it's no more powerful than any consistency booster we have currently, like Pot of Desires, Pot of Prosperity, Pot of Extravagance. You know, Pot of Avarice is back at 3 of Hell. You know, I think this card's fun. Who the fuck is gonna play spellbooks? Be real. Except maybe the random fucking Pendulum player who's playing Blue Boy and High Priest of Prophecy and jogging in his fucking deck to make a lockout on turn 1. Who the fuck is playing Spellbook of Judgment? If you're playing Judgment, you have to be playing Fate 2, so you have bricks in your deck. If you're not going first, if you're going second, like, you're not resolving Judgment. Be honest with yourself. And if you do resolve your Judgment, you get your Joggin, there's outs, nigga. There's so many outs. Like, it's not that powerful anymore. You can't just sit on a Joggin and win the game. There's infinite impermanence. There's evenly matched. There's so many cards that are going to kill you for doing something like that. Blaster is essentially the Golden Lord, except he can special summon himself. Wait, so can the Golden Lord? This is literally Eldritch the Golden Lord, but a Fire Ruler. I don't think that we should have too many Fire Rulers in like mass, because then it becomes too powerful. But I think Blaster's fine to come back. We have Tempest back, and Tempest isn't doing much. I think Blaster would be a really cool boost for fire decks, but it wouldn't like push them over the top, and it wouldn't also make a Dragon deck inherently too strong either. Especially with the banning of LP, which is something I want to do. It'd be fine to have a little more Dragon support. No biggie. Double Iris Edition. Bring this back to 3. 1, 3, 3, 3. By the way, if I didn't make that clear. Bring this shit back to 3. Pendulum still isn't being played with this card at 1 because it doesn't do enough. It doesn't really do anything. It's not that good. Everyone was like, oh, we got Double Iris. Let's go with Double Iris. Yeah! Pendulum best deck. Still bad. Still fucking trash. Still trash. Give us this back and give us Servant of Endymion. Maybe we'll talk about Pendulum best deck then. Maybe. Maybe. Especially with Spellbook of Judgment being able to summon that Joggin that's going to get outed. LMAO lol. Bring these cards back. 3. 100%. The errata on this card is not as good now. Put it at 3. Who cares? It'll be a consistency booster for Dragons. They'll be able to kind of make their plays a little bit more fast. But it's not going to like ruin the game or anything. Chain Strike. Yo, Burn isn't doing shit. Burn will never do shit. Burn is trash. We're too fast now for Burn to matter, especially with the banning of a card like Mystic Mine. I don't think this deck's going to do a lot. Chain Strike to 3. I am hitting Drytron in like a, not Drytron, Virtual in like a small way by banning this. So now they have to play like the card that just like hand loops for 1, right? If they're playing any rank 9 that's going to do something kind of fucked up to the opponent. Bring back Elemental Teleport. It'll also buff decks like Virtual Beast and Cosmos. Not very important, but Virtual World are a brand new deck. They did just get new support, but people may not want to commit to that support because they're afraid of a card like, you know, True King of All Calamities getting hit. So they're like, well, fuck, I'll have to play the X-Saber version with the hand loop, and that's not as consistent. Boom, here's your consistency. There you go. 3. Reasoning. What are you guys, scared of Inferno or something? 3. Fuck. Draco Face Off. I'm banning LP. The cards you summon off this are dragons, but I'm banning LP. 3. Boost Pendulums. Pendulum best deck. Sekka's Light. This isn't any more powerful than any draw spell we have in the game currently. You are under a huge, a mad fucking restriction playing this. Who's gonna play it? BA? Super Heavy Samurai? Monster Mash? Bring this shit back to 3. Bring this shit back to 3. Hornet Drones. Bring it back to 3. I don't want the Upstart Goblin back to 3, but this is fine, especially because of the fact that Sky Strikers aren't doing nearly as much now. Orcust Harp Horror could come back too. I don't really want to talk about it. I don't care that much for Orcust. They already got Rusty Bardish back. I don't think they need Harp Horror. They'll be all right. Back to 3. It is a consistency booster, but I think consistency boosters are totally okay for the game. They're fine. And Mystic Mind's no longer a problem, so you're not going to be seeing Mystic Minds off of Terraform. You're going to be seeing the deck's Field Spell itself. If there's ever a problem Field Spell, don't hit Terraforming, hit the problem Field Spell. I don't give a fuck. You know, like, if at any point Prank Kids becomes best deck, which is the deck that I like the most right now, or if Necker Valley, because I like Gravekeepers, ever becomes too strong and you need to hit it, hit the fucking Field Spell, you dickheads, you jackwagons, you idiots. Don't hit consistency boosters. Same with Upstart Goblin. This can be played in degenerate shit, but I think that as long as we keep weeding degenerate shit out of the game, this card doesn't inherently hinder future game design. This card's not like a Verte Anaconda or a True King of All Calamities or a Red Reboot. Like, this card doesn't make it so you have to continue to power creep everything. This is just a consistency booster. That's all it is. Metaverse, with Mystic Mind gone, this card's not as strong because now you're not going to be, you know, Mystic Mind. You're not going to be metaversing for a Mystic Mind to your opponent's turn to stop them from playing. You're not going to be able to do that. This card goes through. And whoa, it's got a Cypherms. Oh, Cypherms are going to be so scary, bro! No, they're not. Cypherms are trash. Malicious. Yeah, heroes could use the boost. You could either give us back Malicious to 3 or a Hero Lives. I put this instead of a Hero Lives. Because I think heroes in like, same thing with Dragon Mode. I think heroes in like a really, really mass quantity, other than the fact they lose really hard to Nibiru, get fucked, boys. That heroes can actually be really, really strong. And I don't really want them to be super strong. And I don't think Konami does either because there's nothing new. They're not really selling any product by selling hero cards. So, let's talk about these other cards down here, and then we'll come back to Maxi. This is more ban cards. These are extra cards. Denlong, you have to put bricks in your deck, or you're playing actual Yangzing. Let Yangzing players have this damn card back. If you're playing bricks in your deck to make Denlong work, to have a, 9 Pillars of the Yangzing, dude, you're fucking badass. You're playing 9 bricks. Congratulations, you're the best, dude. I'll smooch you on the mouth, bro. COVID or not. Mars Stalio, it's a nice going second card. It's pretty okay. It's generic, but the problem is, you know, we don't have Terror Top back. I don't want Terror Top back. Sorry, Speedword players. Cry in the comments. This card would be a nice little consistency boost for Salamangreats because they're not really doing much. It was either this or it was Circle. I'd rather have this than Circle. I'll be real. Circle also has a Monster Reborn attached, I believe, or a Soul Charge attached, and I think that's pretty strong. Is that Will of the Salamangreats? Let me read Salamangreat Circle real quick. I could be wrong. Talking about Salamangreat link monster you control. That link monster is unaffected by monster effects during this turn, except its own. Never mind. Oh, it's like a forbidden dress or something. Nah, I'd still much rather have I think I'm still fine with having. What is that? Is the same artwork? I can't tell. Who cares? Zen Matey. Yo, the wind up cards. I've played with them a lot. Like, I've done like test hands and stuff like that with wind ups, and they're really, really cool. I like the way wind ups work. God, are they missing Zen Matey? And let's just get rid of Hunters so that you don't have to worry about hand loops. Unless you don't care about hand loops because Mermails can still hand loop you, and Synchro can still hand loop you because of what's it called, Desert Locust or some shit. If you really want to hand loop people, so I mean, yeah, you could just ban Hunter and bring this back if you're worried about hand loops. But if you're not, because it's not it's discarding hand loop, not banishing hand loops, maybe both could be at 3 and it wouldn't be a problem at all. I think this card's not as powerful as it used to be. It's definitely not ban worthy. Put it at 1 if you're scared of it. I think Dinlong could come back to 1. I don't think the deck needs more than 1. It has a recycle spell anyway and recycle traps. Mirage Stallion could come back to 1. Test it out. If it's not doing anything, back to 3 once again. I think Zenmaity should be at 3, but I'm sure they'll probably test it out something like 1. Firewall Dragon isn't going to do shit outside of Cyber's decks. And if there's ever another problem card, like a problem Cyber's card, not Firewall, ban that card. Don't ban Firewall. This card come back to 3, no problem. With the new errata, I believe the new errata is Cyber's monsters only. I don't see it here. We haven't gotten it here in the TCG, but it is going to be in Ghosts from the Past. So it'd be weird for them to put it in Ghosts from the Past and then not bring up the Banlist. Yo, you want to waste 3 materials to make a Cyber Dragon Infinity? Or a Constellar Pallades? Be my fucking guest. Or a Volcasaurus and then stack a Gaia Dragon on top of it? Be my guest. Why the fuck is this card on the ban list still? This is not fucking Pepe format in 2014 or 2013, where the fuck, I think it's 2013, 2014 or 2015. Who gives a shit? It was an emergency ban to stop Pepe from making Cyber Dragon Infinity because at the time, 2 interruptions was like, oh my god, I can't play! And now everyone's packing 18 hand traps in their fucking deck. Okay, I'm lying. Maybe like 6 to 9 hand traps in their deck, you know? And then another 3 on the board, so 12 altogether. This card's not that good anymore. Yeah, you want it, sure. You go ahead and detach 3 materials from this, and you make a Cyber Dragon Infinity, and you did good. Good job. Nice 1 interruption for 3 fucking cards, unless you're doing this off 1 card. Something that maybe windups would do. This card really should have just been, what I'm looking for? This card should have been Tellarknight specific, maybe errata it, make it Tellarknight specific, then it wouldn't be as strong. Maybe Warrior specific or Light Monster specific, wouldn't be so bad. But even without that restriction, I don't think this card is gonna really do too much. Yeah, maybe it's 1 more disruption on the inboard for like a deck that can shit out monsters like Harpies or Trap Tricks, Tellarknights, or even a deck like Windups if they bring back Carrier. Cool, that's badass. But I don't think that inherently this card is limiting future game design. I don't think that there's any rank 5 that they've ever made or will ever make that's going to be so fucking powerful that this card needs to stay on the ban list. I can't think of one. I can't. Okay, I want to talk about Maxi. I want to talk about the card that we all love to hate as Yu-Gi-Oh players. I'm going to read this off for anyone who just doesn't know what Maxi does because you didn't play when Maxi was legal. During either player's turn, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard. This turn, each time your opponent special summons a monster, immediately draw 1 card. You can only use 1 Maxi per turn. So every time your opponent special summons, this is chainable to special summons, by the way. As long as it's not an inherent summons, so something like an instant fusion or polymerization. Whew. You get to draw a card. Do I think that that's extremely strong? Absolutely. Do I think that the hand traps that we have now check this? Yeah. Do I think it should be in the game? I think if it's in the game, it needs to be at 0 or 3. So it either needs to not be in the game, or everyone needs to be able to see it all the time. My biggest worry with this card is the same thing that I used to do to people when I played Cyber Dragon. Was it Cyber Dragon or was it? It was either Cyber. I think it was ABC. Yeah, it was ABC. I'm sorry. I was playing ABC. And what I would do was it was a 2-card combo. It was Union Hanger plus Transmodify. Union Hanger plus Transmodify was Cyber Dragon Infinity and Cyber Dragon and ABC Buster Dragon. So 2 interruptions plus whatever back row or hand traps you drew plus Maxi. A lot of times, I mean, you didn't draw the Maxi, but if you drew Maxi with that, a lot of times your opponent couldn't out your board. Because they were like, fuck, I have to special summon into this board. I have to summon into this board. It's already difficult enough. There's a Cyber Dragon Infinity on the field that's going to negate my monster, spell, or trap effects once per turn, Omni Negate. And there's an ABC that's going to tag out, make a bunch of floaters, but before it does, it probably is going to pop or banish a card on my field. It was ridiculous. And that was like 2013, maybe? I don't remember when ABC came out. I think this card was still legal when ABC came out. I might be wrong. Maybe I was playing actual normal Cyber Dragons with Cyber Dragon Infinity and this card was still out, and that's what I'm thinking of. So maybe I made Pallades and Cyber Dragon Infinity, which is essentially the same thing, except the Pallades doesn't tag out. You can bounce any card, though, which is pretty cool. And you don't have to discard. You just detach material. Anyways, let's get back to the point. This card either needs to be at 3 or 0, but I think at 3, I'm sorry, I think that when it's in the game, it creates these really fucked up situations where if your opponent didn't draw and you did going first, essentially you created your board and then you like flipped a floodgate on them. You flipped a summon limit because they don't want to give you too many cards, because in this format, in the game that we play now of like actual TCG Yu-Gi-Oh, there's so many hand traps that you're going to draw to more hand traps to be able to disrupt their play further, right? Even if they do something like Forbidden Droplet you or Dark Ruler No More you, even though I want that card banned. Cards like you'll be able to draw into more disruptions off of the maxi, or conversely, they're scared and they just commit to nothing, give you no cards, make you go -1 or whatever, or 1 for 1, and then you just OTK them on the crackback because they have nothing. You know, they don't set up something scary enough with all the back row removal we have in the game that you just blow through their back and you fucking kill them. In my opinion, I think maxi needs to stay banned, but I could see why people want this card back. I don't, but I can see why people do. Yeah. That is the end of this crazy long, like 40-minute fucking discussion of what I think could move on the ban list, and what I think of the current Yu-Gi-Oh format in general. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. I lost like 4 subscribers since I started doing like more Yu-Gi-Oh content than Soul Calibur content. I guess people really like Soul Calibur. I didn't know. Oops. But I'm really enjoying Yu-Gi-Oh again. This and traditional Duel Links. So I'm going to be uploading a lot of content to both. Please subscribe and like the video. And share with everyone you know that likes Yu-Gi-Oh! And wants maybe a new up-and-coming, possibly, creator to support. And this is Beanie Thuggish. I'll see you guys later. Peace.